Hello, guys, and welcome back to another episode of the English Language Academy. In today's lesson, I wanted to show you how reading newspapers can really help you improve your English speaking, reading, writing. Now, the first thing I would like to say is that newspapers are a great way to get a cultural insight or more of a cultural understanding of certain idioms and phrases that you may come across not only in the news but just on a day-to-day basis when speaking with native speakers of English. So let's see what we can find. If I just flick through, I'm flicking through the newspaper, and yes, okay, let's take this for example. Here is an example of a nice headline in the middle of the newspaper, and we have here, "Bring on the long weekend, our bank holiday mega guide." Okay, bring on is a phrasal verb. It's a verb with a preposition. Now, normally, if you took these words separately, they would mean different things as opposed to when they're put together. So, bring on here means to let something happen or to allow something to happen in a very excited kind of way, in a very enthusiastic way. So sometimes we say, bring on the long weekend or bring on the fun. So here, bring on the long weekend is showing excitement for our bank holiday. So we have a bank holiday in May. I think there are two in May. And people are basically very excited for the bank holiday, and the newspaper here is giving their holiday mega guide, a guide of the things, of the activities that will be happening in London, everything from the theatre to the art galleries to various bars and pubs that one can go to enjoy the bank holiday weekend. So here is an example of how you can use the newspaper to not only learn a phrasal verb like bring on the long weekend, but also you get a sense of the culture, right? Because you have a bank holiday. Now, if you've never heard of the term bank holiday, it's basically a public holiday in the UK. Um, so that's just an example, a quick example of how you can use newspapers to improve your English. The English isn't always very difficult in the tabloid papers, for example. So even if you can read, you know, um, tiny articles or just the headlines, and then really try to get a sense of what the article is trying to say and whether they are using an idiom or a phrasal verb. If you can identify these, it would really help to improve your English speaking, but also your English comprehension. Um, so yes, use newspapers to improve your English. I'll be doing more of these lessons, taking newspapers and doing a more thorough, detailed analysis of newspaper stories. Um, let's see. It's okay to dream, but don't lose your focus. I mean, again, this is a fantastic headline. To dream and to not lose one's focus. These are words and phrases and sentences you can use when you are speaking, right? So if you have an IELTS speaking exam and you're talking about, for example, aspiration, you could say, well, it's good to have aspirations and it's perfectly okay to dream, but it's important not to lose one's focus as well, because dreams are impossible without having focus. Can you see how you can just use these phrases that are in the newspaper instantly in your IELTS exam? Now, the thing I would encourage that if you are reading a newspaper, I would try to keep an exercise book or a notepad where you can jot down, where you can write down the phrases and idioms you are learning from the newspapers, and then try to reuse them. The other tip I would do is that if you are into a particular subject, or a particular passion or hobby, such as football, for example, read those kind of articles. They will help you. I'm interested in politics, so I read a lot of political stuff. Um, but then the other thing you can do is try to summarize what you've just read. Write down a paragraph of what you just read, or try to talk to somebody, talk to your friend and summarize an article that you read, or try to expand on one of the headlines that you've just read. And really doing stuff like this, expanding your horizon, expanding your exposure of the English language, instead of reading, the IELTS textbooks and the grammar books. They can become very boring. Remember, language is only a tool that allows you to be used in order to communicate with a different culture, with people from a different culture. And if you approach language in this cultural way, you'll find it far more enjoyable, and you will really see that your English will come a long way when you start to enjoy learning English and try to identify stuff in a more relaxed and friendly kind of way. So, to sum up, try to read newspapers, try to read one article a day, or even just browse through the newspapers and just read the headlines. Take a few newspapers, you can just scan through them and then read the headlines. For example, here's another phrase that we use in English: fancy that. Fancy that means two things. To fancy someone means that you kind of like them, you have a romantic um, you know affinity or relationship with them, that you like somebody, you fancy them. It's a very informal way of saying that. But also, if you say fancy that, it's also showing some kind of element of surprise. So there's just so much you can take from newspaper headlines. So really guys, spend some time leafing through newspapers. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. If you would like me to explore any particular topic, again, leave it in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and have a great bank holiday weekend. Bring on the fun.